There are two types of money. And interestingly, your employer, your boss, the system at large doesn't want you to know this because they want you to continue to trade your time for money. But once you realize that there's a delineation between these two types, you will never think about money the same way again. There's two types of money. There's money that your time buys you. This is money that you've literally expended life force for. So you have put your time, effort, energy, focus, and attention into something, some time for money trade mechanism, and gotten money out. A lot of business owners think they own a business. Most of them own a job. If your business requires your time, you don't own the business, you own the job. You put time in, money comes out. And it's a job, it's a side hustle, it's a business, it's whatever it is. If time goes in and money comes out, you have a time for money trade. Most money comes from a time for money exchange. However, we need to start looking at money in the right way. Money you traded your time for is very, very, very costly money. That's the first type of money. And that's the type of money, by the way, that most people in the world have and spend. Money you trade your time for. Let's call this time money. Then there's the money that your money makes you. There's the money you trade your time for, that's time money. And then there's the second type of money that most people never get and don't know how to get and don't even know exist. And this is money that your money made you. This is investment yield, a truly passive business, T-bills, stocks with yield, it's real estate, whatever it might be. There's the money your time makes you, there's the money your money makes you. So there's time money and there's money money. And understanding that there's two different types of money puts you in a position to really begin to think about money in a way that would actually allow you to free yourself. Here's the rule. The money your time makes you cannot be spent on anything other than absolute, complete, total necessities and things that make you more money. Think about if you actually did that. Think about if you forego all luxury in life. No television, no smartphone, no Netflix, no separate bedrooms for the kids. You live in the smallest domicile you could possibly live in that's still safe. If you can move back in with your parents, you move back in with your parents. You don't lease a car, you drive a 40-year-old Honda. You don't go out to eat, you sack your lunch. I'm not asking you to do anything that would actually compromise the value of your life. Don't do anything that's not safe. Don't stop eating organic food. But you truly forego all luxuries. Just for a moment, just imagine this thought exercise. Then the money that your time makes you is spent on the bare necessities, and everything else is socked away into value-producing assets. You buy real estate, you buy businesses, you invest in yielding stocks. What ends up happening? At some point, and it happens sooner than you think, the money your money makes you eclipses the money that your time makes you. Now here's what's really fun about that. The money your time makes you is so costly that my very strong opinion is, and you might disagree with me, and that's okay, the money that your time makes you should never be spent on anything other than your bare necessities and income producing assets. Now, the money your money makes you, you want a purple diamond studded Lamborghini and you only like the back of the Lamborghini, so you want to cut it in half and put the front, it's half of a Ferrari, like whatever stupid things that we hear about the, trillionaires doing, do it, go for it, have at it, ball out, tons of fun. Love you, mean it, God bless, etc. Because that money didn't cost you life. It didn't cost you life force. So when you begin to understand these two different types of money, you start to see how much the first type of money costs you. This is the money that keeps you enslaved. This is the money that keeps you trading time for money. This is the money that keeps you hooked up to the drip, hooked into the system. And that's an important thing to know because they want you there. Everybody, by the way, wants you there. It behooves society for you to be there. Why? Employers want you there because they want employees. Employees want you there because they want a business owner and a boss that's active and engaged. The economic system wants you there because it wants consumers. It wants you spending all these little drips, all these little points. That's why they make it so easy. Everything's financeable. Everything's just a couple bucks, Oh, for less than the cost of a coffee. And you can finance your furniture, and you can finance your home, and you can finance your car, and you can finance your computer, and you can finance anything you want in life. You can finance your vacations. And now you're what? You're hooked up to this drip to where you trade your time and you get money. Trade time, get money. Trade time, get money. Trade time, get money. It's so costly. It's so costly. Imagine opting out of that system. How long would it take if you really scaled all of your costs down to the true bare minimum, and then you piled every dime that your time bought you into income producing assets. Here's what's really cool about that. Is because you've brought your basis down so low, you've brought how much it takes you to survive down so low, you actually don't need that many investments before you're completely free. Now it's up to you how much more you work for. How many more assets do I need? What life do I really want to live? What quality of life do I really want? So if you've ever read the book, The Millionaire Next Door, it's a phenomenal book. It's really worth reading. And what's interesting about it is the trappings of wealth are costly. You can't just have a Mercedes, because if you have a Mercedes, you need a Rolex, right? And maybe more specific to the analogy, if you have a Mercedes, the tires on a Mercedes are 10 times the cost of the tires on a Honda. And you have to have premium fuel. And of course, you want to park the thing inside, and you have to valet. And anytime you get an oil change, it's 10 times as much money, and your insurance is more expensive, and the car depreciates faster. So a Mercedes doesn't just cost you what a Mercedes costs you. A Mercedes costs you everything that it costs on the periphery. My dad has this fun saying that doesn't translate to English very well. He's Pakistani, and the Pakistanis have a saying that if you want to keep an elephant as pets, you have to have big doors. And you're like, that's the most obnoxious thing I've ever heard, Qasim, but really think about it, right? If you want an elephant as a pet, you have to have big doors, because otherwise your elephant can't get in your house. But you can't just have big doors. Now you need high ceilings. And you can't just have big doors and high ceilings. You actually need a really big house. And you can't just have big doors, high ceilings, and a big house. You need a big yard, right? You can't have big doors, high ceilings, and a big house and a big yard. You need big walls. And an elephant eats a lot of food. An elephant needs a place to sleep. And an elephant, all these things that you're buying are elephants. My brother bought me this beautiful watch. It's one of the nicest watches ever produced by humanity. And there's this YouTube video you can watch about it that details just how epic this watch is. It's anxiety inducing for me, because you have to service the watch and you have to have the watch clean. And if I wear the watch anywhere and it gets scratched. So I'm not telling you, I'm not wealth shaming. If you love cars, buy the Mercedes. Great, good for you. But know what it's costing you. If you're trading your time for money, you're trading your life for money, you're trading your life for that Mercedes. Know what it's costing you. Know what the watch is costing you. Know what the elephants are costing you. If you're willing to be radical, bring all your expenses down to absolutely the closest to nothing that you can possibly get, which by the way is so possible. So many things that we have are not necessities. A smartphone's not a necessity. A television is not a necessity. Netflix is not a necessity. Lattes are not a necessity. If you have roommates, especially, you can live for very close to nothing. And then if you're willing to work harder than most people are willing to work, you can make more than most people are willing to make. But you're not spending that money. So what are you doing? You're piling it into income producing assets. And then those income producing assets begin to yield. And what do you do with that money? What if you put it back into the income producing asset instead of spending it to live? At a certain point, you put yourself in a position to where what you're spending to live means nothing. It doesn't even hit your balance sheet. It doesn't matter. It's a nit. It's a line item. It's adjusted for margin of error. It doesn't exist. And now what do you have? You have true freedom. I didn't get really dangerous as an entrepreneur until I was free. And what's interesting about my freedom is it positions me to make decisions other people cannot make. I can hire people that my competitors can't afford to hire. If I find somebody that I'm like, gosh, this person is so special, they just need a little extra training, a little extra time, a little extra investment. I have the days, the weeks, the months, the years, if I wanted to hire that person and just wait and just let that investment yield. I can fire people my competitors can't afford to fire. If clients not aligned, not with my values, treating my people poorly, I don't need that client. Why? Because I'm rich. And I'm not just rich, I'm cash rich. That's the other thing that most people don't understand is you can have massive wealth on paper. You see this happen all the time. And it happens to literal billionaires to where they get into cash crunches. This is why money is so important. It's important, it's fuel, it's a tool, it's a resource. So I don't have a Ferrari, I live in suburbia, I don't have a Rolex, but I have cash. I have liquidity. And what it does is it gives me the opportunity to achieve true real freedom. I can start businesses if I want to start them. I can seize opportunities if I want to seize them. I can do what I want to do. I can not do what I don't want to do. I can just travel. I can just go. I'm not trying to brag, and I hope it didn't come off that way, but I do want to give you a sense as to what's possible if you're willing to be radical. But that's what I did, and narrowed all my expenses down to where I was living on as close to nothing as I possibly can. And then I made as much money as I possibly could. And then I piled all that money into income producing assets. And now I'm free forever. I never need to work again for the rest of my life. I don't know why. I'm still trying to figure that out. But it's because I figured out that there's money you trade your time for, and then there's money that your money makes you. And this first type of money is so precious. It's so precious. It's so important. It's so costly. It's so dear. Don't waste it. Don't squander it. I like an oat milk latte with honey and cinnamon. And oat milk is extra money, and sometimes honey is extra money depending on the coffee shop you go to. If you go to high-end coffee shops, even the espresso is expensive. So my oat milk cinnamon honey latte costs me, at some places, depending on where I go and depending on how big it is, $10. Like, are you kidding me? Now, I can do that because that's money that my money made me. But imagine for a moment, and so many people do this, that you trade your time for money and your money for the latte. How much of your life, if you make 20 bucks an hour, you had to spend 30 minutes to buy that latte. And that doesn't even begin to scratch the opportunity cost, the taxes, the everything that's going into that latte. It's vile, it's evil, it's pernicious, and it shouldn't be allowed. And it's the type of thing to kill with fire. But all of society wants you in this system. They want you trapped. They want you to be a good consumer. They want you to spend. They want you to finance. They want you to go in debt. It behooves everybody but you. But if you're willing to be radical, and if you start thinking about money in that way, this is the path to freedom. I hope this was helpful. If you want to help me in return, the thing that I would love for you to do is to share this video. Share this video and tell people why you're sharing it. Let them know, hey, I like this video because, or I dislike this video because, whatever it ends up being. I'm making a whole host of YouTube videos on all the frameworks that I've learned that brought me to true financial freedom. So check out some of my other YouTube videos. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.